is Encore.
Cool.
The stories behind the songs.
Thank you.
Here's iHeartRadio's Miles Galloway.
Rah, rah, I'm Miles Galloway, and this is the story of Lady Gaga's Bad Romance. Lady Gaga is more than your average pop star. From the early modest days of sewing her own costumes and singing about disco sticks, she's continually reinvented herself along the way to become one of the planet's biggest stars of both music and film. She's won Grammys, an Oscar, and every award in between. She sold over 170 million records and generated hundreds of millions of dollars with her groundbreaking tours. She's stolen the screen next to leading men such as Bradley Cooper in A Star Is Born and Joaquin Phoenix in this year's Joker, Folie, Deux. Heck, she's even pivoted to jazz with remarkable success, becoming BFFs with her mentor and collaborator, the late, great Tony Bennett. She's also become a tireless advocate for UNICEF, the Rainforest Foundation, and the LGBTQ+ community and mental wellness. And let's not forget, she is the matriarch to millions of little monsters out there who continue to worship their mother monster. How does that compare to your resume? Frankly, it makes mine look a bit trivial. Yes, Lady Gaga is one of music's greatest overachievers, but to quote one of her biggest hits, she was born this way. Actually, Stephanie Joanne Angelina Germanotta was born on March 28, 1986 in Manhattan, New York. Her parents Cynthia and Joseph raised Stephanie and her younger sister by 6 years, Natalie, in a duplex on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Now, before I go any further, I feel like it's important to point out that Joseph Germanotta is one of the persons responsible for giving us Wi-Fi. That is an actual fact. He's even called the godfather of Wi-Fi because back in 2002, when everybody was plugging cables into their computers to get an internet connection, Lady Gaga's dad founded Guest Wi-Fi, a company that installed Wi-Fi in hotels. So not only did he give us Lady Gaga, he gave us Wi-Fi. Her mum, by the way, was a VP at Verizon. No biggie. Anyway, back to our story. From the age of 1, Stephanie displayed a love for music so much that her grandparents bought the family a piano to encourage learning. Baby Stephanie would learn to walk by grabbing the piano leg and pull herself up so she could hit the keys. Then when she was 4 years old, Stephanie began playing piano. At first, she just wanted to do it playing by ear, but lessons would help her reach the next step of writing music. At the age of 6, she would write her first song called Dollar Bills, which was apparently inspired by Pink Floyd's Money. Wow, already listening to The Dark Side of the Moon at 6. That is impressive. At 7, she was performing in front of the camera, which she would share footage of with her fans 19 years later.
This is my first published piano.
When she was 11, Stephanie was accepted into the prestigious Juilliard School, but her Roman Catholic parents decided to instead send her to the Convent of the Sacred Heart. The affluent all-girls private school boasted many notable alumni, including Paris Hilton, whom Stephanie was said to be enamored with. Unlike Paris, though, Stephanie was not one of the cool kids at Sacred Heart, wearing mismatched clothes and pursuing her love for performing over boys. Outside of school, she began taking vocal lessons from Christina Aguilera's singing coach, Don Lawrence, who has continued to help her with her vocals. She also took acting classes on Saturdays, which helped her visualize and improvise. I remember the first time that I drank out of an imaginary coffee cup, she would tell New York Magazine. That's the very first thing they teach you. I can feel the rain, too, when it's not raining. By 13, Stephanie was writing songs, and by 14, she was performing at open mic nights in New York City clubs with her parents chaperoning her. Her piano training was paying off for her both as a performer and songwriter. She would tell The Telegraph, "I was classically trained as a pianist, and that innately teaches you how to write a pop song. Because when you learn Bach inversions, it has the same sort of modulations between the chords. It's all about tension and release." Influenced by her parents' taste in classic rock and pop, she used acts like Billy Joel, Pink Floyd, and the Beatles as inspiration, even forming a band with some friends. In an early appearance at Much Music in 2008, Lady Gaga recounted her days of playing gigs as a 14-year-old.
I really started gigging out in New York City when I was 14.
That's pretty young.
Yeah. My parents didn't realize then how great it was because they were like, stay home, do your homework. But I couldn't stay off the stage.
But you obviously knew what you wanted to do at a young age, right?
Oh, yeah.
At the same time, Stephanie was also scoring lead roles in school productions of Guys and Dolls, and a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum, which took place at Sacred Heart's brother school, Regis High School. Her success at school made her a target for the older girls in the plays, who would give her the nickname The Germ. However, Stephanie's friends also are said to have called her Germ because of her last name, Germanotta. But in her high school years, Gaga's eccentricities would lead to constant bullying by her classmates. She would tell Rolling Stone in 2011 that she was teased for being ugly, having a big nose, and being annoying. She recalled that girls would say, "Your laugh is funny, you're weird, why do you always sing? Why are you so into theater? Why do you do your makeup like that? What's with your eyebrows?" I used to do these really big Evita eyebrows. I used to self-tan, and I had this really intense tan in school, and people would say, "Why the fuck are you so orange? Why do you do your hair that way? Are you a dyke? Why do you have to look like that for school?" I used to be called a slut, be called this, be called that. I didn't even want to go to school sometimes. However, it was around the age of 15 when Stephanie would get her first taste of showbiz.
You girls see me out there?
Yeah, it looked like you were cheating.
Fucking start.
Hey guys, you got Mr. Goodwin's office open. Check it out.
That voice you heard there was 15-year-old Stephanie Germanotta in an episode of The Sopranos titled The Telltale Moozadell. In the scene, a teenage Gaga breaks into school at night with some friends, including AJ Soprano. They toss the coach's desk and a collection of trophies into the pool. While it wasn't a breakout star-making performance for Stephanie, it did give her a first credit on her IMDb page. Years later, after she became a superstar, she reflected on the cameo in the groundbreaking HBO series, telling Entertainment Weekly, "When I look back on that scene, I can see exactly what I did wrong in that scene. I didn't know how to listen in a scene. I was supposed to laugh, and it was sort of like cue laugh. I see it and I go, oh, that's not a real laugh." Perhaps portraying a badass on TV gave her an idea, because while she was in high school, she began sneaking into clubs on the Lower East Side with her fake ID, where she was exposed to all types of music and entertainment, including avant-garde performance art and drag shows. Stephanie finished high school ahead of schedule at age 17 and was one of only 20 students who gained early admission to the collaborative arts project 21 through New York University's Tisch School of the Arts. She lived in an NYU dorm and studied music, getting a taste of what it was like to be an adult. Through writing essays on subjects like art, religion, politics, and social issues, Stephanie was able to develop her songwriting skills. At a talent show in 2005, Stephanie played a piano and sang 2 original songs, Captivated and Electric Kiss, coming in 3rd place. But school wasn't for her. She felt her studies were holding her back as an artist, and during her 2nd year, she dropped out to pursue her dream full-time. And while Time magazine may have ranked Lady Gaga as one of its top 10 college dropouts, I feel it's important for me to say, stay in school, kids. Unless you're the next Lady Gaga. In that case, follow your dream. Years later, she would tell Elle magazine, "I loved NYU, but I thought I could teach myself about art better than the school could. I really felt New York was my teacher and that I needed to bite the bullet and go it alone. I wasn't interested in going to frat parties and doing those sorts of collegiate things. I was really interested in the music scene and waitressing and cleaning toilets or whatever the fuck it was I was doing." Stephanie told her parents that she was quitting school, and her dad surprisingly agreed to financially support her for the first year. Living in the Lower East Side, she began honing her craft as a singer-songwriter when she caught the attention of producer Rob Fusari, who had co-written and produced the Destiny's Child hits No 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 and Bootylicious. He was looking for an artist to front a band he was putting together. At first, Stephanie didn't look the part, but once he heard her sing, he brought her into the studio and the two got to work. At first, they began writing rock songs, but Fusari didn't feel it was a genuine style for Stephanie. Although rock and roll was the genre where she felt she belonged, Fusari convinced Stephanie to give dance-oriented pop music a chance. Using the glam look of David Bowie, the theatricality of Freddie Mercury and Queen, and the pulsating synthetic sounds of European disco pop, Stephanie and Fusari created a new persona. All they needed was a name for it. During their time working in the studio, Fusari had made a habit out of playing Queen's Radio Gaga whenever Stephanie arrived. One day while the two were texting, Fusari typed Radio Gaga, which instead his phone auto-corrected to Lady Gaga. And just like that, an iconic name was born. Fusari and Gaga would reportedly begin a short-lived romantic relationship on top of their working relationship. And soon they would begin writing songs and setting up a domestic limited liability company called Team Lovechild LLC. That also included Joseph Germanotta as a partner. All they needed now was a record deal. This next segment contains descriptions of an alleged sexual assault. if you or someone you know has been affected by sexual assault, we encourage you to reach out for support. At the age of 19, Stephanie was sexually assaulted by a record producer she worked with. She wouldn't discuss the horrific events of that night until years later when Lady Gaga appeared on an episode of Apple TV's The Me You Can't See. In discussion with host Oprah Winfrey, she detailed what happened.
A producer said to me, "Take your clothes off." And I said no. And I left. And they told me they were going to burn all my music. And they didn't stop. They didn't stop asking me, and then I just froze and I don't even remember. I understand this Me Too movement. I understand that some people feel really comfortable with this, and I do not. I do not ever want to face that person again.
She further admitted that at a later date, she was pregnant as a result of the rape, and that the producer, who she refuses to name, abandoned her, dropping her off at her parents' house because she was vomiting and sick. I had a total psychotic break, and for a couple years, I was not the same girl, she continued. The way that I feel when I feel pain was how I felt after I was raped. I've had so many MRIs and scans where they don't find nothing, but your body remembers. During an interview on The Howard Stern Show, Gaga would explain that the trauma didn't really settle in until years later because she was so focused on her career.
Well, you know, it happens every day. It happens every day, and it's really scary and it's sad. And you know, it didn't affect me as much right after as it did about 4 or 5 years later.
It hit you.
It hit me so hard.
It's a delayed reaction.
You're working so hard.
I was so traumatized by it that I was like, just keep going, because I just had to get out of there.
I have talked to other women who...
Somehow, Lady Gaga found the strength to keep going. Her ambition and determination would pay off in late 2006 when Joshua Sarubin, head of A&R at Def Jam Records, heard her song Beautiful Dirty Rich. Impressed with what he heard, he took Gaga's music to his boss, label president L.A. Reid, who proceeded to offer her an artist development deal. Sarubin would tell NJ.com there was something unusual about her. She sat down at the piano in a showcase room, and the way she played and the lyrics and the way she acted and sang was just so different and in your face, and you couldn't turn away. She was wearing these crazy white thigh-high boots and a black mini dress, and she had this presence like, I'm sexy and I don't care what anybody has to say about it. Despite saying she was a true star who will change music, L.A. Reid never actually met with Gaga and dropped her from Def Jam after only 3 months because he didn't like her demos. He would tell Larry King that this decision would be one of the biggest regrets of his career.
A couple of months later, she does her demo tapes. They get to my desk and I sit and I listen and I say, I have this all wrong. I couldn't be more wrong. I don't know what I saw. I don't know what I loved about her, but today I don't feel the same. So I made the foolish mistake of letting her go. And a couple of months later, maybe 6 months later, one of her songs comes out on another label and it starts to become a hit. And I tried to ignore it. I mean, I really tried to ignore it. Like, oh, it's not really going to be a hit. And this thing explodes. The song was called Just Dance, and Lady Gaga was born. And I felt like the biggest failure in the world.
Years later, Gaga would write about the rejection for her single, Marry the Night, telling E! News, it was one of the worst days of my life, and it happened quite quickly. But in my mind, when I think back on that period of my life, it all happened very slow. Gaga fueled her depression through eating junk food and watching TV at her Lower East Side pad, but realized this was actually a turning point for her. Instead of giving up, she told New York Magazine, that's when I started the real devotion to my music and art. She began to eat healthier and started going to the gym, although in addition, she has admitted to taking diet pills and cocaine. But she was getting into shape and experimenting more with her image. It was around this time that she met a singing burlesque queen named Lady Starlight. While the two of them were go-go dancing together at a bar called St. Jerome's in 2007, Starlight tutored Stephanie on everything she needed to know about the local art scene, helping her learn burlesque and establishing an image. In a 2009 interview with Caught in the Crossfire, Lady Starlight explained her influence on Stephanie, saying, "My style, performance, art, and DJing inspired her persona. I was also one who told her to take off her pants because I rarely wore any myself." The two put together a burlesque act that included dancing in thongs and go-go boots, singing X-rated lyrics, and introducing pyrotechnics via a lighter and a can of hairspray. They performed as Lady Gaga and the Starlight Revue, and threw a weekly party called New York Street Revival and Trash Dance, where they played hits from the 70s and 80s. Gaga would tell New York Magazine, "Starlight and I bonded instantly over her love of heavy metal and my love of boys that listen to heavy metal." Gaga and Starlight befriended local glam rock band Semi-Precious Weapons, who allowed the two to open up shows for them regularly. Gaga and Rob Fusari had become distant, but when he saw her perform one of her burlesque shows, he was shocked, describing it as Rocky Horror meets 80s band. Still, Fusari believed in Gaga, and when his friend Vincent Herbert was hired by Interscope to scout new artists, he swung a meeting with one of the biggest record executives in the world. Jimmy Iovine is one of the most powerful names in the music industry. Originally an engineer and producer, Iovine has worked with everyone from John Lennon and Bruce Springsteen to Tom Petty and Stevie Nicks. In 1990, he founded Interscope Records and helped shape the careers of Nine Inch Nails, U2, Eminem, Black Eyed Peas, No Doubt, and Dr. Dre, who he also co-founded the Beats brand with. Obviously, Iovine was someone who could help Lady Gaga with her career. While he was interested in seeing what Gaga could do, Iovine got Vincent Herbert to set her up with some songwriting gigs for Britney Spears, Pussycat Dolls, Fergie, and New Kids on the Block. She was also given a chance to perform at Lollapalooza that summer, which is how she ended up with blonde hair. After someone in the crowd yelled out Amy Winehouse, Herbert told her to try dyeing her hair blonde to make her look more distinct. She did it immediately. Performing at Lollapalooza also earned Gaga her first rave reviews in the press, as well as a citation for indecent exposure for wearing hot pants. After relocating to Los Angeles, Gaga began working on new music with Moroccan producer Red One, who worked with Akon and Enrique Iglesias. He helped Gaga with her pivot to a more commercial dance pop sound. She was obsessed with Andy Warhol and his multifaceted approach to art, devouring his books and using his ideas to develop her vision for the brand. Using Warhol's factory as a blueprint, she launched a collective under the name House of Gaga, which she would work on various projects related to Lady Gaga's music, such as costumes, staging, props, and music video production. She also adopted Warhol's love of wearing wigs and big sunglasses, and exploring his interest in queer culture through working with drag queens and promoting gay rights. Iovine passed on Gaga's music to Senegalese-American hitmaker Akon, who immediately took an interest in co-signing her to his Interscope imprint Con Live. With Akon and Red One, Gaga would write her first single, Just Dance, in only 10 minutes while she was hungover. In an interview with Artist Direct, she would explain the meaning behind the song. Everyone is looking for a song that really speaks to the joy in our souls and in our hearts and having a good time. It's just one of those records. It feels really good, and when you listen to it, it makes you feel good inside. It's as simple as that. I don't think it's rocket science when it comes to the heart. I think it's a heart theme song. Released on April 8, 2008, Just Dance instantly became a club hit, reaching the Billboard dance chart soon after. It would also hit the Hot 100 in the US, but it was in Canada where Just Dance would reach number 1. Gaga would show her gratitude for her Canadian fans during a visit to Much Music, where she would perform the song and sit down with host Leah Miller.
And I have to thank Canada because you guys were the first to pick up this record.
And you actually, on the back of the liner notes, you wrote the back. Did you write that when you were there?
I did it when I was there, yeah.
Wow.
And we had to actually rush produce the album because you guys wanted it so much sooner than everybody else did.
It's not even out in the States yet.
No, it's nowhere. It's nowhere but here.
That is crazy.
And it's number 1.
Yay! For all your fans.
Lady Gaga's debut album, The Fame, was released via Interscope on August 19th, 2008. With one of the biggest record labels behind her, Gaga was ready to break out. Speaking with MTV News, she explained the themes behind the record.
In my lyrics, well, the album is a concept record, so this idea of the fame is through and through, but it is through and through in a couple different ways. It's in there as somebody who, if you have nothing, you know, whether you've got no money, no fame, you know, you can still feel beautiful, dirty, rich, right? because it's about making choices, about being passionate and having references, things that you pull in your life that you believe in. But it's also about, self-discovery and being creative. The record is slightly focused, but it's also eclectic.
The Fame would continue to pump out consecutive hits over the next year. The sexually provocative Poker Face, about being with a man but fantasizing about a woman, was her second song to reach #1 all across the globe. For paparazzi, Gaga upped her visual game, hiring Jonas Åkerlund to direct the jaw-dropping video. You might remember his name from previous Encore episodes for U2 and Madonna. Gaga would call it the most amazing creative work that she's put together so far, telling the Canadian press, "It has a real, genuine, powerful message about fame whoring and death and the demise of the celebrity and what that does to young people." And then there was Love Game, where the world learned all about what a disco stick was. Well, Cam Lindsay from Much Music certainly did when he asked her at the 2009 Much Music Video Awards.
Is it possible to explain exactly what a disco stick is?
It's a penis.
Okay.
Okay then. Full disclosure, Cam actually now works for iHeartRadio and may have even written these words I'm saying right now. Cam is an extremely handsome man. Wait, hold on, who put that in there? If some people in Canada didn't know of Gaga in the summer of 2009, they certainly did after her performance at the MMVAs. Performing Love Game and Poker Face, Gaga entered the stage from a New York City subway car, fought off the NYPD, and ended things by shooting fireworks from her bra. Or what I call a typical experience when visiting the Big Apple. Speaking with Much Music just after her performance, Gaga explained how she had achieved everything till that point.
Since I was a little girl, I used to say my life is music, my life is art, my life is performance, and it wasn't true. But I said it every day over and over again, and I worked, and I was very disciplined, and I rehearsed and practiced every day. And then one day I woke up, and my life was art, my life was music, my life was performance. It's like, it's a dedication. Now it's not really a choice, it's just who I am.
The Fame ended up winning 2 Grammy Awards for Best Electronic Dance Album and Best Dance Recording for Poker Face. But it wouldn't stop there. Before the end of 2009, it would turn into a monster. In just over a year, Lady Gaga went from a complete unknown to the biggest new artist on the planet. She had made pop music exciting again, and she wasn't done with The Fame yet. In November 2009, she dropped 8 new songs packaged with her album as something she called the Fame Monster. She revealed how the additional EP of songs came to her to MTV's Alexa Chung.
Well, I'll just tell you that when I wrote the Fame Monster on the road, I really didn't intend on writing a new album at all. And I was like leaving my heart on the floor every night on tour. And my fans were giving me so much from the audience that I was really inspired to write more music. So I listened to my fans.
Very good.
The Fame Monster would replace its predecessor as the complete version of Gaga's debut album, helping it reach 18 million copies sold worldwide to date. These new songs once again found Gaga revitalizing the music video and turning the medium back into a must-see event with its singles. Anticipation grew for each of her videos, and on November 10th, 2009, she released the song that would become arguably the biggest song and video of her career. Once again produced by Red One, Bad Romance was an instant smash hit. With its rah-rah-ah-ah-ah, Roma-Roma-ma, Gaga ooh-la-la chant, Hitchcock references, and a pounding beat that channels German techno. Appearing on an episode of Fuse's On the Record, Gaga explained the concept behind Bad Romance to host Touré.
I want your ugly, I want your disease, all of those things that I'm saying. It's like when you love someone so much and your fear of losing someone is so deep that I want your psycho, I want your ugly, I want all the most disgusting parts of you that you think nobody will ever love. I loved all of those things. Each song represents a different monster that I feel like I've encountered on the road. So my fear of love, my fear of alcohol, my fear of sex.
Bad Romance debuted at number 2 on the Hot 100, making it her biggest chart debut to date. It would also reach number 1 in Canada and basically everywhere else in the world, confirming that Gaga was now pop music's most exciting artist. The song's success was largely due to its eye-popping video. Directed by Francis Lawrence, who would go on to direct 3 of the Hunger Games films, the video depicted Gaga as a victim who's kidnapped by supermodels and sold at auction to the Russian mafia. Set in some blindingly white, futuristic bathhouse, the video featured choreography that borrowed from Michael Jackson's Thriller and some of Gaga's most outlandish outfits, including razor blade sunglasses and that pyrotechnic bra of hers that seems to burn her lover to a crisp. Yikes.
When we were preparing to shoot the Bad Romance video, we wanted the story to kind of shine on this very simple white background, a bathhouse, where we told a story about a woman that was imprisoned and stronger than all of the limitations around her.
Gaga would tell MTV News, "That tough female spirit is something that I want to project. It's meant to be. This is my shield. This is my weapon. This is my inner sense of fame. This is my monster." The video's director Lawrence would also tell MTV that out of all the music videos he directed, the response to Bad Romance was bigger than any of them. I've been doing it a long time, but I've never really experienced an explosion with a video like this, where people so eagerly awaited it and blew it up on YouTube instantly. Her little monsters loved it too, and soon the video was cleaning up at the 2010 MTV Video Music Awards. Winning 7 out of 10 awards it was nominated for, including Video of the Year, Best Choreography, and Best Pop Video. Bad Romance would also collect 2 more Grammys for Gaga, Best Female Pop Vocal Performance, and Best Short Form Music Video. I would have to say the most impressive performance of Bad Romance came in December 2009 when she appeared on X Factor in the UK. This was the year before One Direction were on the show, in case you were wondering. Dressed as a bat, Gaga and 10 of her dancers emerged from a 20-foot bathtub, giving new meaning to a communal bath. And naturally, for the song's middle 8, Gaga sat on a toilet to play the piano, like most concert pianists are known to do. I wonder where that 20-foot tub is right now. Probably in Simon Cowell's bedroom. 2 more singles would follow Bad Romance, Alejandro and Telephone, featuring Gaga's biggest collaboration to date, Beyoncé, which gave us yet another epic, dazzling music video starring Quentin Tarantino's famous Pussy Wagon. I personally loved the Diet Coke can hair curlers. Bad Romance hasn't really ever disappeared from our lives. It's creeping closer to 2 billion views on YouTube and remains Gaga's most iconic musical moment. Thankfully, in 2016, we finally got some clarity on what the song's earwormy chant actually means when Gaga joined James Corden for a round of carpool karaoke. I'll let them break it down for you.
But it's like, it's romance. It's romance.
Oh, hang on.
It's the fun of romance.
Ga ga ga.
Kind of. It's like the beginning of romance.
Romance. Ooh la la. Oh, I see. You're saying romance. Ooh la la. Didn't even know.
Yeah.
This is why these couples are good for me.
Well,
just to get this sort of lyrical insight. Thank God.
As you might expect, Bad Romance was part of Lady Gaga's Super Bowl 51 halftime show in 2017. She saved it for last to close out the electrifying performance. She was decked out in football pads and surrounded by pyro, where she led a mass dance-along to her hit that ended with fireworks and her jumping off stage to catch a football. Like any good banger, Bad Romance also had its viral moment on TikTok after one user named Grace Grosky issued a hashtag Bad Romance challenge with a soaring a cappella rendition of the chorus. From there, it inspired many people to use the audio to tell their stories of personal trauma. And most recently, the song inspired headlines for her upcoming turn as Harley Quinn in Joker Folie, Deux. Literally every outlet that wrote about the film's trailer found some different way to use the song's title in the headline, because obviously, she and the Joker can write a bad romance, am I right? I'm Miles Galloway, and that was the story of Lady Gaga's Bad Romance on Encore, with new episodes every Thursday.
Encore is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more great podcasts just like these.